I wanted to talk about, have y'all ever wondered why we say what we say, right? And so I have been mulling over, y'all know that I'm a writer and I think about language a lot. And I think about the phrases, because words have power, right? And that is why when we write words out, we call it spelling, right? Because we are literally casting a spell with the words that we speak, right? And so by rewiring negative idioms and any cultural sayings, we can actually rewire and rewrite our consciousness, our patterns, right? And so first off, let me just get into really quick. Idioms or phrases or any types of expressions where the overall meaning cannot be understood from the literal definition. So like a piece of cake, right? So it's not really, you're talking about a piece of cake, you're talking about it being simple. So that's what an idiom is. Okay, so, and then next we need to look at how negative language actually affects the brain. And guys, I know that, people may have said like throughout your life, oh, keep it positive, whatever. And you're just like, yeah, whatever. But guys, it is amazing the actual shift and the lightness that you can feel just by shifting some of the daily phrases that you use. So first, again, let's look at how negative language actually affects the brain. So, and this is from just various online sources, guys, from the BRM Institute, Global Brain Health Institute, and Therapy Den. So, negative language, whenever spoken, heard, or self-talk, it can give all kinds of neurological effects that can influence the mood, your stress response, and even long-term brain function, guys. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a neurologist, but I've been within the system long enough, and I've seen the reality of this play out in real time in my own life. And I've worked with neurologists before who have told me the same thing. So it basically activates the amygdala. So the brain's threat and emotion response center, it becomes highly active when negative language is, introduced. And this can actually trigger the release of stress hormones like cortisol, which can lead to heightened anxiety. And so, that's crazy. And if you were in a state of anxiety, then that is being in a state of fight, flight, freeze. And so all of your neurons and everything's just kind of, whacked out, right? And so how do we get back into this balance, right? Some other things that negative language can do. So over time, chronic exposure to hostile or critical language can keep the amygdala overactive, which can contribute to conditions such as depression. Neuroscience experiments show that negative words increase implicit processing. And so this is linked to emotional regulation and stress, right? So it basically means that the brain is just not reading into the words, but it's also processing words on a subconscious level, guys. And this can reinforce negative emotional states. Let me put my glasses on and see what y'all are saying here. Like the, let me see, Fluffy Cat 5, like this. Yes. I'm not really sure what you were saying, but it's all about just making conscious choices about it. Okay, so let me get back into some of the issues with negative self-talk, and then we'll go straight into the solutions, because this is a solution-based programming. And okay, so hostile and negative language can disrupt the functions of the brain And in the areas responsible for general just positive feelings, right? It can reduce motivation, impair emotional regulation, and weaken the brain's ability to sustain optimism, right? And so negative self-talk and hostile words can actually alter gene expression, guys, and y'all can look this up. I'm not making it up, right? And so the words that you speak can actually alter your DNA, right? And so negative words, no, won't, can't, and they engage certain brain circuits that suppress your ongoing thoughts, feelings, and actions, right? And so repeated, right, and that's the key, it's the repetition, the repeated exposure to such language can overwork the circuits in the brain, and it can contribute to some neurological conditions, guys. And so there is also long-term studies in neuroplasticity, right? And so what they say is that prolonged exposure to negative language can shape the neuroplasticity, which is actually like, you know, how the brain learns the patterns in life that we need to sustain ourselves on a daily basis, right? And so if our patterns are getting formed by negative language, right, then we end up staying in a state of anxiety, right, of depression, of I'm not good enough, right? So let's contrast that. So that's all the funky bad shit that we don't want. And so, you know, we've all been programmed, right, in this matrix, in this society, right, to use language perpetually on a daily basis to describe ourselves, our states, and to describe others, right? And so if we find ourselves falling more into a negative language pattern, then, you know, if you widen that and you see what's going on around you in your life, you can see how it can contribute to the negative things that are actually happening in your life. So let's contrast this to positive language. So in contrast, positive words, affirmations, they lead to activate the prefrontal cortex. It enhances this function, right? And this is what helps us stay in the present moment. And it can actually alter the perception of self and others over time. It can improve mood, boost resilience, and support healthier brain networks, meaning that it can help support the production of new neuro pathways. Okay, guys? And again, y'all can look this up. Like, I'm not, you know, just pulling this shit out of my ass. I mean, this is science, guys. And so, what do we need to do? We know that negative language, it doesn't just hurt us emotionally, like sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can't, whatever that phrase is. That's not true, okay? Because words can hurt. It can actually activate stress circuits. It can disrupt positive brain networks. It can alter gene expression. It can actually change brain wave functions, right, and the patterns, and it has potential long-term negative effects on mood, cognition, and brain structure. So what is the solution to this, guys? Well, mindful language, right? Mindful language use, both in self-talk and in interactions. So self-talk to yourself, what you're saying to yourself on the daily basis, and also what you're saying to others can help protect and strengthen your brain's resilience, okay? And so the reason why I focus specifically on idioms and cultural sayings is because, you know, the brain neurotransmitters, they're created and they become a pattern over time, right? And so a lot of us say cultural sayings or different idiomatic expressions over and over and over without even like consciously thinking about it, right? And so if we're saying negative idioms or negative cultural phrases over and over, and it doesn't matter, guys, if you're just saying it to be funny or not, because the universe doesn't understand humor the same way we do. So it's just gonna keep on creating negative experiences, right? So we gotta shift this. So I made a list of some examples of negative idioms and some negative cultural phrases that I'll go through really quick, and we can, try to unpack and flip some of them. I mean, if I was like with you guys and I could see y'all and ask y'all to participate, I would, because you could help me flip some of these. But anyways, let's go into it. Okay, so the first one is, she has her head in the clouds. This means that her ideas and thoughts are unrealistic, right? So, you're really undercutting your worth, right? And your possible contributions to the world by saying, oh, I just have my head up in the clouds, right? I'm hanging on by a thread. Right? So this is danger, stranger danger, 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 right? And so if you're constantly saying this to yourself, oh man, I'm just hanging on by a thread, then, in reality, then you are just hanging on by a thread. This is the one that made me want to do this today. And this negative idiom is interesting because it's actually a positive, but it's negative. Kill two birds with one stone. So first off, why violence towards animals to say that you've achieved two things at once? I don't really understand the reasoning and why this was even a created idiom. And if anyone wants to look at the etymology of this and let me know where it actually came from, because I didn't do the research on that. But it's interesting because it brings violence into an otherwise positive meaning. And so this way, the negative energy of killing two birds, it takes away from the energy of achievement, and it in this way can devalue your own personal accomplishments, right? Another one, back to square one. So this is insinuating that if you experience a failing or you experience troubles in your life, that you got to start all the way over, right? And so this can keep you in a state of perpetually beginning, right? And so we can flip that. Oh, I got to go back to square one. What about learning from, the past choices? I'm not really sure how to flip that one, but guys, I would love if any of y'all want to flip some of these idioms for me and put them in the comments. That would be really cool to try to make it a positive. Okay, so instead of kill two birds with one stone, allow two birds to fly at once, right? And so I just think that it's a fun way to really begin to consciously be aware of the words that we're speaking by, focusing in on certain cultural sayings that we just end up saying all the time anyways. Some more that I tend to fly off the handle. This can keep you in a state of always suddenly losing your temper. I'm constantly falling through the cracks in my industry, right? So you're gonna continue to be overlooked if you say that you're constantly, being overlooked or falling through the cracks. Another one, I tend to fly off the handle. So if you keep on saying this, then it's gonna keep you in a state of suddenly losing your temper all the time, right? Let's see. Oh, that cost an arm and a leg, right? We're talking body parts here for something. So that is always going to put your dreams and your ideas off in the future because it's too expensive today, right? And so it's really interesting how these phrases that, a lot of us, myself included, didn't, 100% think about may be keeping us stuck in negative thought patterns, right? Let me see. Then I haven't been into nothing made me crazy. I haven't been into the lockup yet. Please don't go. It's not a great experience. Been there. Oh, but one that I did, yeah, crazy as a fox is one. So this is like definitely belittles yourself, right? Thinking, and it belittles thinking outside of the box. It belittles innovation, right? And so definitely not, calling yourself crazy. And I have a hard time with that one because I have been someone that has thought outside of the box pretty much my entire life. And so as far as the 3D world is considered, they probably think I'm pretty cray-cray. But I don't give a money. Okay, guys, so some cultural sayings. One small step for mankind. I mean, do I have to say anything? Come on, what about, the majority of the population are females, right? Women. So one small step for humankind. Girls will be girls, right? I mean, I don't even have to go into some of these. But if you find yourself saying these certain phrases to yourself or others, it's a way. Once you become cognizant of this behavior, then you can begin to shift. Okay, and so this is what I'm interested in, is how to shift this negative talk to yourself and to your others. So guys, there's many ways that you can do this. The first is cognitive reframing. So this is all about shifting your perspective on negative thoughts to see them in a more positive light. And I'm going to give you guys a couple examples from my own life in just a second. The second one is self-compassion training. Like, guys, it is just remarkable. Like, when I started really looking at the language that I was using at myself, like how nice and kind I was to my friends or to my daughter, but then, the words that I spoke to myself were just like horrible, right? And so just beginning that self-compassion. I'm a worthy, beautiful, little unique butterfly that is here experiencing this beautiful world, right? Self-compassion, mindful awareness, right? And so mindfulness, that is being in the present moment. And you can catch yourself. There's like the 3-second rule. Like if you go into a thought that you're used to having, because guys, I mean, if you're anything like me, man, I'm like almost 52 years old. I have been living in this world for 5 decades. And so you think, or 6 decades, right? So you think about 6 decades of conditioning language. So be real gentle when you're trying to unpack this stuff, man, okay? So, you can go in and challenge your inner critic. So if your inner, voice wants to say something that is negative to yourself or others, just stop, pause, 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, wait a minute. And then you can begin to ask, who said that? Did I say that? I wouldn't talk to myself that way. You can start laughing at it that way. I mean, it worked for me. And then another way is just to begin structured journaling, right? And so just write down your thoughts to analyze and begin to be able to reframe them towards a more positive outlook. Because if you are someone that has been mentally trained by, your environment, by whatever, to focus more on the negative, then it may take a little time to retrain your brain to focus more on the positive. So these strategies can help you develop a more positive mindset and reduce the impact of negative talk from other people too, right? So it's almost like creating a little force shield for yourself. So I wanted to just give you guys 2 examples of how I personally transmuted this energy and moved out of negative states because I was able to shift my inner dialogue. So the first one, and this is, okay, so I am someone that has dealt with body image issues pretty much my entire life. I've gone up and down the weight scale. I've had different, therapists tell me that I'm probably somewhere on the eating disorder spectrum. I don't know about all of that. All I know is I've had some really tough times with accepting my body and also accepting other people's bodies. And so there was a time in my life where I was very judgmental towards people that were overweight. And it basically was because I was judgmental towards myself, right? For not having what I considered the perfect body shape. And so there's a old song or an old phrase that used to come into my head every time that I would see someone that was overweight. And it went, fatty, fatty, 2x4, can't get through the kitchen door, right? And guys, like my head, I always think and sing song rhyme. I guess even if it's negative, I make a rhyme about it. So I caught myself, and this is, so if we go back to mindful awareness. So I caught myself thinking fatty, fatty, 2x4 towards a woman. I remember it very clearly because I was in a period in my life where I was beginning to understand, more esoteric principles and learning about how energy affects the body. And so I was trying to make some conscious choices in my life. So I'm in this elevator and, this extra large woman gets on. I immediately, in my head, I thought fatty, fatty, 2x4. That's a horrible thing, man. I mean, that's shitty. It's shitty towards that person, even though I didn't say it out loud. And it's like, myself, because really, we're all mirrors. So what I was saying out there, I was actually saying it to myself, right? And so what I did, as soon as I heard my mind say, fatty, fatty, 2x4, I was like, wait a minute. That's not nice. I need to replace that thought. And so immediately, without thinking about it, and this is how I love, just how in the intuitive nature of things come in, I replaced fatty, fatty, 2x4 with happy, happy, joy, joy from Ren and Stimpy. And I'm not a big Ren and Stimpy, but that song just popped into my head. And so after that, I basically and I guess it took me probably about a year. I mean, I'm a pretty, to use an idiom, a negative idiom, I'm a pretty hard nut to crack. And so it took me a while, guys. But any time that I would think a negative thought towards someone else for being overweight or towards myself, right, I would shift from fatty, fatty, 2x4 to happy, happy, joy, joy. And it worked. It worked, guys. And so that's my first example of shifting language. My second example is also about body issues because, again, I'm someone that has dealt with body issues most of my life. Not anymore. I'm very thankful to say that I love every inch of my physical body, and it has been a long journey to get here. But anyway, so this is probably the biggest story and the biggest transformation. I was in my 30s. It took me over a decade of therapy to really begin this journey of self-love. And I always looked at my body, especially my hips and my thighs, as someone who had saddlebags, right? And I hated them. I mean, I used to literally think about, ways to get money so I could get liposuction. I mean, my God, it just... I'm thankful now that I have compassion for that wonderful woman, who was learning how to self-love, and I love her today. But what I had to do, so my therapist told me to stand in the mirror every day and give love to every body part that I didn't like. And so every day I would rub my thighs, and at the time I would just be like, fuck you thighs, I hate you, blah, blah, blah. I just talk shit to him. But she said that I just had to fake it, fake it till you make it or whatever. So I did. And one day, guys, and this is also a true story, I looked at my thighs, and instead of seeing saddlebags, I saw a big, beautiful heart. And that one took me a long time, guys, but I was able to transmute the energy of negative self-talk by using these tools that I'm, offering you guys today. So cognitively reframe it. Take that negative statement and shift it. I mean, make it something silly like I did, from fatty 2x4 to what was it? Oh yeah, to happy joy. From, oh, you got saddlebags, to, oh, you got a beautiful heart-shaped booty, right? And so, for me, it took some time. And the main thing, guys, is just to be gentle with yourself while you're, unpacking and letting go of what no longer serves, because it takes time. It takes time. And so in the process of this, we can just be gentle with ourselves and know that today, within this 24-hour period, we can begin to be just a little softer. Just a little softer with our language, right? Begin to speak nicely to yourself. Instead of I'm always late, I am always right on time, right? So remember, guys, that our negative frequency patterns, they were formed from years of conditioned living. Okay, so be gentle as you begin this journey. And remember that your words, guys, have so much power. So use them with thought and mindfulness. And flip that shit to make yourself just feel better, man. That's what it's all about. Awesome. So morning sun and open door.